with the stock, there were so many people online who were like, yeah, this is going to be the biggest company in the world. I'm buying a bunch of this. And then 3 hours later, they're sharing a screenshot. Look, I'm up 20% or whatever. And it's like, do you guys know how this works? Because you're not the first people to buy that. When an IPO goes live, there's a lot of other people that bought before that. It's actually their time to sell when the IPO goes live. So like all of the investors and all of the people that they talk about on the news who just became, a millionaire or just got $100 million because they were an executive at Tesla or whatever, or they had some kind of position there or at SpaceX. And what they don't say is, yeah, they're getting that money from dumping on retail investors when that IPO goes live. And all the investors and Musk himself probably occasionally in the contracts, they do have cliffs and stuff like that, which means that the executives aren't able to cash their shares until a particular time. But I doubt that Elon Musk has terms like that, especially for himself, with the terms that he has set for himself in his previous companies. But there were so many people who were so excited and pumped up and were like, yeah, this is going to go to the moon. And it's like, man, the valuation was already way too high for what he's doing and what he's capable of. And especially the fact that so much of it rests on government contracts. So, yeah. Let's take it. It's down 16.4%, shaving off most IPO gains since the debut. And I imagine it will continue to go lower. It's not going to be, I really can't see it happening because the valuation was just so high. Laws were broken so they could make it that high. Let's take a look at what they're saying about this.
A big pop in that stock. Yahoo Finance's Praz Sumerain joining here with the latest. All right, Praz. So SpaceX now giving back a chunk of those IPO gains. What do you make of that, Praz? Is that just normal volatility for a new name or no, something else is going on here?
It's hard to say, right? The stock had sort of a monster run up right out of the gate. And now we have, 3 down days, right? One big one today. So, recently you've seen the entrance of options, things like that. Perhaps some investors looking to lock in some gains here, right? Because after you had that big run up and then maybe you want to sort of enjoy that. But I think a lot of this is due to the fact that there's a small float, right? At the moment, it's like 4.2%. So small moves can be amplified both to the upside or the downside. It's sort of how I see it right now.
This headline today as well, Cross, that the company is reportedly exploring this dollar bond sale. What do we know about that?
Yeah, I think Josh, this is also part of the story, right? We have this bond offering, right? So reportedly, $20 billion to pay off a bridge loan. So it was not unexpected, right? But it isn't exactly a good thing either.
So I believe that that's like money that they're going to be selling or shares that they're going to be selling, which potential downside on the price.
You raise $85 billion in why can't those proceeds be used to pay off this bridge loan? One that, mind you, was taken out to refinance the X deal, right? So that's another point of contention for some SpaceX watchers. They see, the sort of the structure of the company and why they need to raise $20 billion. You can also argue that.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is that Elon Musk has a massive amount of control over many of these shares. And there are a lot of people that think that his strategy with what he's done with this, the intention has been to create all this money out of nowhere with SpaceX and the potential of government contracts there, and then use that money to bail out his other companies, which if that is the case, then that's just going down.
They're just looking to tap as much money as they can right now while the getting is good.
The other headline today, Praj, it's interesting, the stock might be down, but, they did announce another, what sounds like meaningful commercial AI customer. A report here that SpaceX signed a deal with Reflection AI worth as much as around $6 billion. When people think SpaceX, Praj, they think rockets, they think satellites. Is it now also increasingly fair to think of this company as a true AI infrastructure play?
Yeah, interesting move, here to monetize the data centers, right? This deal relatively small compared to the monster ones for Anthropic and Google, $1.5 billion a month for those two companies, right? So on the face of it, looks like this is on that.
Yeah, Anthropic just signed a deal to use Musk's highly controversial data center in Memphis, despite, Anthropic's marketing of being the most ethical. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that they are. They certainly are more ethical than XAI. But if they're using his data centers that are poisoning a community in Memphis and is one of the most notorious data centers in the country, then that's not great.
Direction, right? But you're talking about, cloud data center compute, right? This is not like a high margin business. It's not why you're paying 100 times revenue for SpaceX, right? And it comes reportedly because XAI had issues integrating the Grok chatbot with Colossus 1 and 2. So I think that's why you have Elon himself also saying that, hey, these are short-term deals. He doesn't want SpaceX to be known as, hey, we're just your Amazon AWS.
I feel like this guy is like trying to kind of run defense right now, and even he's making it sound ugly
For cloud compute.
You also highlight, Pras, something else in your story, which we need to keep in mind as investors, because it could create more volatility down the road, which these insider lockups. Walk us through that.
Yeah, I think this goes back to your first question, right? So, perhaps some investors are getting ahead of those expiration lockups, right? So, Sazi, he spoke to a strategist at a 20 resource talking about some of the windows to watch, the expiration windows, right? So there's a 20% insider share unlock after SpaceX's earnings announcement, which is probably going to be in mid-August or thereabouts, right?
Yeah, okay. So that's what I was mentioning earlier about how they might not be able to sell until a certain point. It looks like it's August. That is not that long of a window. That's like it's a few months, 3 months after the shares hit the market.
Then there's a 10% share unlock if the stock trades 30 above the IPO price. And then, which is not where it is right now, right? As well as a set August 20th, and then also for September 10th. This is actually a lot of stock when you consider that only 4.2% is available right now. So there could be some, sort of big thunderbolts or thunder shocks, what do you want to call it, coming up for the float. And that could be, create some downside pressure for SpaceX stock. This and the fact that I want to mention, Josh, that we're also going to approach the OpenAI and Anthropic IPOs. That's all coming down the way, right? So you have this happening plus all that coming online.
Oh yeah, there is now an investigation into.
We're also seeing a sell-off within.
There's now an investigation into Tesla's self-driving mode that we talked about yesterday because of that car that crashed into that house and killed that grandmother. And then there was news last week that they fudged the numbers about their safety records to get into European markets. And as Elon Musk is becoming a trillionaire on the stock that's crashing, we're also getting news that he basically waived laws to allow Elon Musk's AI company to put gas turbines in Mississippi, which polluted Black communities. And I believe the same thing happened in Memphis as well, but I don't know if they specifically changed the laws there. I'm sure that something happened. The community next to his data center is breathing smog-forming nitrogen oxide and formaldehyde. Yeah, the way that some of these places are powering these data centers are completely toxic. The construction that they're doing has no concern for the local environment. That's one of the reasons why people are having brown water. And apparently they did it through national security. They said that it was a national security issue. That's how they're getting all these data centers through. I just saw yesterday that Jersey has now 6 different cities have put a moratorium on them. But yeah, now the DOJ is preventing people from even filing lawsuits against the data center there in Mississippi.